Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good day to you, depending where you are in the world. We're in London, we're doing the nighttime devotion. We had a wonderful Sabbath. Thank you for asking. I hope yours was blessed too. Doing the nighttime devotion from the devotional Christ Triumphant, the title today. Jesus cares about human problems and perplexities. John 2 verse 10. The steward called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first, and then the inferior wine after the guests have become drunk. But you have kept the good wine until now." The joyous festivities of a Jewish wedding were preceded by solemn religious ceremonies. In preparation for their new relationship, the parties performed certain rites of purification and confessed their sins. A most interesting part of the ceremony took place in the evening, when the bridegroom went to meet his bride and bring her to his home. At the house of the bride, a company of invited guests awaited the appearance of the bridegroom. As he approached, the cry went forth, "Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go ye out to meet him." The bride, clothed in pure white, her head encircled with flowers, received the bridegroom, and accompanied by the guests, they went from her father's house. By torchlight, with impressive display, with sounds of singing, instruments of music, the procession slowly proceeded to the house of the bridegroom, where a feast was provided for the guests. For the feast, the best food that could be secured was provided. Unfermented wine was used as a beverage. It was the custom of the time for marriage festivities to continue several days. On this occasion, before the feast ended, it was found that the supply of wine had failed. When a call was made for more wine, Jesus' mother, thinking that he might suggest something to relieve the embarrassment, came to him and said, "They have no wine." The active part that Mary took in this feast indicates that she was not merely a guest, but a relative of one of the parties. As one having authority, she said to the servants, "Whatsoever he say unto you, do it." Jesus said unto them, "Fill the water pots with water." And they filled them up to the brim. Then he said to them, "Draw out now and bear unto the governor of the feast." The action of Christ at this time was left on record for all ages, that we might see that Christ did not fail, even in such a perplexity as arose on this occasion. Yet he never worked a miracle to help himself. A few days before this, he had refused to satisfy his own hunger by changing a stone into bread at Satan's suggestion. That title again, Jesus cares about human problems and perplexities. So this is talking all about the very first miracle Jesus performed when he came back from the wilderness. And it was probably, I think it says, a few days after he returned from the wilderness that he went to this wedding. Their wine ran out. And this is where Mary, his mother, says, "Jesus, they've run out of wine." And his first words are, "Woman, my time is not yet." But it was the case. They had run out of wine. It was a very important occasion. Now, generally the time Jesus performed miracles was to feed people who were hungry, to heal people who were sick or something, or to exorcise them, as in, rid them of the demons. But the interesting thing about this, it wasn't a necessity in regards to, it was a ceremony, but it was a very important ceremony. And Jesus turned the water into wine so the ceremony could proceed. Interesting and important to note also, the wine was unfermented, so there's no getting drunk on this wine. And more especially, the wine Jesus provided, there was no getting drunk at all, because there was no grapes involved. But Jesus didn't help himself, as was stated just a few days earlier, when he was so hungry and thirsty. And Satan said, just turn this stone into bread and you can eat. And this is where Jesus said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. And yet here, he turned the water into wine to serve others. Everything Jesus did was totally unselfish. What do you think about the marriage ceremony and him turning the water to wine? His first miracle. Why do you think he allowed that to happen when everything else was about serving people for their good?